Your Excellencies, Reverend Fathers, Reverend Deacons, sisters and brothers in the Lord. The two parables in today's Gospel are quite familiar to us. In fact, they are part of the lectionary text we proclaimed the other Sunday. And these two parables speak of the priceless value of the kingdom of God. For me, a very important lesson flows from the enthusiastic and decisive response of the protagonists. The gospel tells us that when the man found the hidden treasure, he joyfully went and sold all that he had and bought that field. And when the merchant found the pearl of great price, he also went and sold all that he had and bought it. Now, Jesus seems to imply that when someone discovers the kingdom of God, he must not allow such a blessing to escape him, and for his own sake, should do everything in his power to possess such treasure. Biblical theologians tell us that Jesus himself is the kingdom in person. To discover him, to encounter him, amounts to coming across the pearl of great price. And the only reasonable thing to do in such a situation is to stake everything on him. For to discover Jesus is to discover a real treasure. This was essentially the experience of the disciples. When Jesus called them, they left their nets, their homes, their families, and followed him. The life stories of saints and converts show the same. We are familiar with the biography or story of Saint Francis of Assisi, who belonged to a family of wealthy merchants. But when he discovered Jesus, or better yet, when Jesus discovered him, he literally stripped himself of everything and embraced a life of radical poverty and simplicity in imitation of the Lord. At the Benedictine monastery in Pantay, Fatima in Vigan City, I know of sisters who were riding the crest of success in their individual careers as accountant, as manager, as a medical doctor even, when they met Jesus, the pearl of great price. But when they heard his call, they literally went and sold everything they had in order to possess him. I believe that the vocational story of each one of us resembles more or less their stories. The story of the disciples, of the saints and converts, and also of those sisters. At ordination, we remember that we also gave up everything for the sake of the kingdom of God. The two parables make clear that in order to possess Christ or the kingdom, it is necessary for us to lose everything, to risk what is dear to one's heart, to burn one's last bridges. In short, detachment is indispensable. Selling everything or detachment is easy to say, but difficult to do. For whatever angle we look at it, it means dying to ourselves, dying to our selfishness, to our craving for security, to our appetite for dominating others, dying to our comfortable lifestyle, or to our desire of adulation or worldly fame, or to everything that centers around our egos. We need to give up all these so that we can have Christ as our sole possession. We need to give up all our personal idols, so to speak, so that we can love and worship only Him. Detachment, we must admit, is not a once and for all thing. It is a daily struggle. It is something that must be sustained by the daily decisions we make. Because detachment demands consistency throughout our ministry. Most of us begin our priestly ministry with much enthusiasm and zeal. As newly ordained priests, we can accept the most difficult assignments or tasks without complaint. We offer our services and celebrate the sacraments for our people with or without stipend. Unfortunately, it sometimes happens that as the years pass, the initial fervor dissipates and we experience spiritual aridity and pastoral sterility. We become choosy with assignments and activities. We become enthusiastic, extending our services only if the price is right. We succumb to fatigue and to burnout. But why does this happen? I do not claim to know all the reasons, but I believe that one obvious cause or reason has to do with our confusion on what particular treasures or riches we should strive to possess. Sometimes we make the wrong choices and become attached to the wrong treasures. Sometimes greed or worldliness gets the better of us. And like the seed that fell among the thorn bushes, which could not bear fruit because the plants were choked by them, so too our ministries are sterile, unproductive, and unhappy when materialism and concern for earthly riches, fame, comfort, and security become the primary motives of our pastoral engagements. Joy and fruitfulness in the ministry require that we detach ourselves from whatever or whoever prevents us from possessing the greatest treasure, Jesus Christ, who allows us, in turn, to have the privilege of sharing the treasures of divine mercy to others. In one sense, our fidelity to the ministry is manifested in our readiness and in our generosity in sharing these treasures of mercy to whoever is in need of them. When a priest dies, I pay close attention to the number and the types of people who attend his wake and his funeral. I don't know if you do the same. The presence of VIPs, the high and the mighty, does not impress me. On the contrary, the presence of a sizable number of ordinary people outside his family circle is for me indicative of his ministerial fidelity and fruitfulness. The personal testimonies of these ordinary people usually confirm this. Obviously, this priest had not been sparing in distributing the treasures of divine mercy to the needy. Firmly attached to Jesus as his greatest treasure, this priest was able to detach himself from material wealth or earthly concerns or ambitions and allowed himself to become an extension of Christ, who is the merciful face of the Father. Brothers and sisters, as you can see, detachment may be difficult, but it has its own rewards. Aside from the interior freedom it gives, material and spiritual rewards are likewise in store for all of us. If God asks us to give up everything we have, it is in order to give it back to us. Christ himself promised, "Truly I say to you, whoever has left house or brothers or sisters or parents or mother and father, children or lands for my sake and for the gospel will not lose his reward. I say to you, he will receive 100 times as many houses, brothers, sisters, mothers, children, and lands, even in the present time. Someone once said, if we have emptied our hands of our idols, it is so that God may fill them with his divine splendor. Let us humbly beg the Lord to grant us, as one of the fruits of this retreat, the grace to joyfully and consistently detach ourselves from all that hinder us from possessing the kingdom of God, personified by Jesus, the only real treasure. So be it.